Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to our new YouTube channel called Back to Sicily. And I'm Sylvester, the dad for Leo and Lucia. And as you may have remembered from our introductory video last week, tried to introduce how we came about this YouTube channel and project where we are trying to get the two kids back to Sicily in order to explore their Sicilian heritage. And as a follow-up, I know I fully explained the whole Filipino, Chinese, British, Irish, and Sicilian/Italian family members, ancestors to Leo and Lucia. So today I did, because of this fine print here, I just wanted to read off to you the two earlier generations that fully establish the roots back to the city of Caltanisetta, which again I'm going to try to show through my old road maps here. As you can see, this is the island of Sicily, and Caltanisetta is right directly in the middle of the island of Sicily. Up here you have Messina, right across the Straits of Messina, with Reggio di Calabria at the tip of the boot of Italy. Down here is Syracuse, and then of course to the west you have Palermo and Trapani, and then the other western and southwestern coastal town. But let me just read to you briefly that on Grandpa Joe, his father is Colagero Gruttadauria, born in Sicily November 3rd, 1881, and he died in New York City December 16, 1949. His mother was Biaggia Bessie Maturana, born in Caltanisetta on January 7, 1887, and she passed away right here in New Haven, Connecticut in 1947. And to trace Grandpa's parents, actually we can go back two more generations with him. Grandpa Joe's grandfather, his name is also Giuseppe Gruttadauria, and he was born, it just says here, in Italy, May 19, 1851, and died on January 29, 1910 in Sicily, Italy. And then Grandpa Joe's Grandpa Joe is another Giuseppe Gruttadauria, and he was born in Sicily in 1802 and died in 1853. So he was only 51 years old. And then, of course, his wife was Agata Seragusa, born in Caltanisetta 1818, and died in 1853. So very interesting direct connection to the city of Caltanisetta, right in the center of the island of Sicily for our two children. And of course, again, it tracks both. We could go back to Grandpa Joe's on his mom's side. There's a Biaggia Marturana. Again, as I said, born in Caltanisetta, but died here in New Haven. Her father is Michele, I guess that would be Michael Maturana, born in Sicily, 1851. And it just says here married in 1879, but no date of death. And same thing on her mother. There's Rosa Fiorenza, born about 1861 in Sicily. Again, only a marriage certificate could be discovered being married in April 21, 1879. And then, of course, you can trace some more dates, but more names, but no date of birth or date of death. So those will be kind of interesting and fun to explore once we can have a chance to go back to Sicily and maybe take a couple of day trips to Caltanisetta to actually do some running around and research, maybe go to the local cemeteries and trace back. And I know we do have some relatives who still live there, and I'm sure they will be a great source and resource for being able to uncover more facts about the family. But anyway, let me just turn briefly to this map. So I wanted to do a juxtaposition here of the island of Sicily, of course, and this is just a regular road map. And then I found in the basement a 1954 road map, and I think this is from Mobil Oil back in 1954. But the reason I bring this up is this is the big island of Luzon to the north of the Philippines. This is the Visayan Islands, and I think you count Mindoro all the way Panay, which is of course where my father's relatives come from, and you have the island of Negros, Cebu, Bohol, Samar, and Leyte, which make up the group of Visayan Islands. I think there might be a couple more down below here, but anyway, so the island of Panay is what we're most interested in. Now, I have not been able to manipulate the computer to be able to show you a better contrast, but I know on the internet I've seen some graphics where the island of Panay is visibly divided up into the 4 provinces, which is Antique, is spelled like antique. You have Rojas, you have Capiz to the north, and then of course you have here a big chunk of it is the province of Iloilo, which is where my father comes from. Today, of course, you may have heard on travel channels and a lot of the resorts and beaches. A very popular place in the Philippines these days is what's called Boracay Island, which is up in the tippy northern part of, I think that's part of Antique there, or Capiz. But anyway, it's in that general vicinity in north of Panay Island. So that's the graphics that I've been able to find. I'm working on a better way to manipulate these through graphics on the computer and be able to upload it or do the editing so that it appears smoother in the blog and in the videos. So for now, unfortunately, we're stuck with just old-fashioned road maps. But I do want to take a second to show you some of the motivating factors. And I was just trying to think of ways to fill in what's basically the wait time until we can actually hop on a plane and fly out to Sicily and begin this adventure of back to Sicily. So in the meantime, I wanted to do 2 things. One is just logistical issues. So I know my son Leo already said his big critique on the first video is it's so boring. It's like listening to some professor in college, as if the boy already knows what college is like. Just droning on about facts and statistics and dates and just generally boring stuff. So I understand it's very difficult. We don't have quite the flash and dash of great editing and visual shots, drone shots. I love those, as well as being able to blend in some fun music. So for now, as we're learning, actually there are 2 things that are different today. One is the lighting, because I've had difficulty just relying on natural sunlight. I usually end up getting very late. So right now it's November 1st. We have daylight savings time. We've already lost the sun, so I've had to come in with just the regular light in the room here. And also the sound. So I picked up, had a delivery from Amazon of this $15 or $20 extension cord here, and hopefully that will improve the sound for the video. But anyway, to be able to keep this within a reasonable amount of time, I do want to be able to share with you the plan for, as people like to say, how are you going to pay for this so-called adventure? So quite simply, we are going to rely on our friends at Social Security. I'm 63 years old today. I will be 64 in about 3 more weeks. And I decided a couple of years ago when I turned 62 that I will take Social Security early. And as you know, out there in the Google world of YouTube channels, you have all these experts giving advice of when exactly to begin drawing Social Security payments. So anyway, whatever it was, I never really got to watch any of their videos. I just decided that I would take it at 62. And part of the motivating reasons is that when I went to Social Security, I actually I didn't intend to try to find out about Social Security benefits. I went there as a former attorney that I was there for a client. And I was checking their Social Security account, and the lady, because I guess as an attorney, my Social Security number is tied to all the accounts that I have clients for, mainly elderly clients, and for the probate court. But anyway, so the lady looks up my record and she says, "Oh, you have 2 minor children, and they're also entitled to an amount of Social Security." So I said, "Well, how much is that?" And they said it's about $620 at the time. Each. So when you think about it, because I'm drawing my Social Security early, it's about $1,100, and for the children, 620 times 2 is about $1,200. So we have a possible monthly budget here of about $2,300, which I think is quite enough for a monthly expense for what I anticipate will be our extended stay in Sicily if we can ever manage it. So on that note, what I was thinking of doing is initially we would not get an apartment or anything like that, but just do an Airbnb on an extended period of about maybe 1 month initially, because you always get a little discount with Airbnbs if you stay a month. And then from there, you can just meet other people and find out how you can rent an apartment of your own and set up your own household. So that's one thought and one strategy, one plan. The other one, of course, which I think may have just come to an end yesterday, is my wife last year, and actually we already had tickets for this past April, where she and I would fly to Sicily and try to get on the bandwagon with the €1 houses for sale in, I think it was the town of Musulmani, and then there's another one in Sambuca. And now I think other Italian towns are also jumping on the bandwagon with trying to attract investors and other people to repopulate these beautiful towns that are losing their residents. So actually, just last night, my wife and I were watching the program with Lorraine Bracco, who everybody knows was the psychiatrist for Tony Soprano and the HBO hit series. But anyway, my wife decided that even though you buy it for €1, you have all these extended unexpected expenses that can balloon to 150,000, 200,000, and so on. So I think she may have lost steam on that wish. I think it's been scratched off her wish list. But anyway, we're still on board with going back to Sicily, and we may not necessarily get on board with the €1 house, but there's certainly many other venues and many other ways to be able to go there and enjoy. But mostly the goal really is for the children, Lucia and Leonardo, to be able to rediscover their roots and to try to learn to speak Italian. So with that, I will close this second episode. But in thinking of ways and able to keep the channel interesting, there is what I hope to be able to introduce, the juxtaposition between the fact that the kids, I talk to them in my father's dialect, which is called Ilongo. So they have I hope is what I would consider a pretty solid foundation. Although they don't converse with me in Ilonggo, they certainly understand if they want to eat or if they want something to be done. But I hope to be able to get that to be extended with Italian as well. And let me close with this, because I think I'm going to have to go and entertain you with some old sea stories from my days in the Navy, because that's partly how I initially got interested in being able to learn Italian myself. So here I'm going to share with you briefly, for those millennials, this will look like museum pieces, but I initially used music and slow romantic music to be able to improve my listening skills with Italian. So here's one of my favorite guys, Luigi Tenco. And of course, you may be familiar, these are the old, what they call vinyl 33 RPM records. Fred Bongusto, he's sort of my Frank Sinatra of real Italian songs. And my favorite female vocalist from Italy is Ornella Vanoni. Very romantic, very understandable in terms of her enunciation. So I really loved her singing style and her voice. And I'll have many more stories about her from the Navy. And for those of you who are not familiar, you know his song, most popular song, Domenico Mondogno, which is Mr. Volare himself. So there you are with Mr. Volare. Mina, a very popular Italian singer, I think in the late 50s, definitely through the 60s and 70s. She went from one of those very romantic Italian singers to sort of an edgier 1980s sort of sound. And of course, what would the 1970s be if you didn't have a record with a disco beat with all the Italian favorites, right? So with that, we will close this second episode of Back to Sicily, and then hopefully at the third episode, I'll be able to learn how to edit so that the start is not me jumping in the seat and then jumping back out at the end. Thank you. We'll see you then.